In a crime that sent shockwaves through Ohio and beyond, Chad Dorman, a 33-year-old father, confessed to the cold-blooded murders of his three sons in June 2023. This shocking act took place in Monroe Township, a quiet Ohio suburb, where no one could have predicted the horror that would unfold. What made the confession even more unsettling was Dorman's calm demeanor during his arrest. Body cam footage from the scene shows him sitting nonchalantly on his porch, next to the very rifle he used to end his children's lives. As officers approach, Dorman reassured them, "I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody," despite the undeniable carnage inside. His unsettling calmness has been a point of focus for many following the case, raising questions about his mental state and what led to such an unthinkable act of violence. Even though Dorman was calm in that moment, his horrifying actions had already ripped apart a family and left a community reeling. The tragic sequence of events. The series of events that led to the deaths of Clayton, 7, Hunter, 4, and Chase, 3, were nothing short of horrifying. On that fateful afternoon, Dorman reportedly gathered his family in the master bedroom under the pretense of spending time together. He then retrieved a .22 caliber rifle from a gun safe and started his deadly rampage. One of his sons was shot twice before the others attempted to flee. In a disturbing display of ruthlessness, Dorman chased his sons, ensuring no one escaped. His wife, who tried to protect the children, was also injured in the process. As his youngest son ran for his life, Dorman chased him down outside, executing him in the field. This relentless pursuit has haunted both the family and the authorities, who have had to grapple with the sheer savagery of the act. The trauma experienced by the surviving daughter, who witnessed much of the attack, cannot be overstated. The failed escape. Despite the children's desperate attempts to escape, Dorman was relentless. His daughter, who managed to flee, tried to save her brothers by urging them to keep running. However, Dorman's single-minded determination to complete his monstrous plan ensured that none of the boys survived. He caught up to his fleeing sons, firing multiple shots. One son was gunned down as he ran, while the other was tragically executed after being intercepted near the road. What's perhaps even more tragic is that Dorman's daughter was the only child who managed to survive, making her way to a nearby fire station to raise the alarm. Her quick thinking may have saved her own life, but the psychological scars she will carry from witnessing the brutal murders of her brothers are unimaginable. This heart-wrenching detail adds yet another layer of tragedy to an already devastating event, planning the unthinkable. As investigators began to piece together the events leading up to the murders, it became clear that this was not a spontaneous act of violence. Court records later revealed that Dorman had been planning the murders for months. Since late 2022, Dorman reportedly grappled with the idea of killing his sons, and in the days leading up to the tragedy, his thoughts became overwhelming. He had not slept for several days prior to the incident, plagued by the weight of his dark plans. This revelation left many in disbelief, wondering how such a tragedy could have been prevented. Mental health experts have since weighed in, suggesting that Dorman may have been suffering from severe mental illness, though this remains a topic of debate. Regardless, his calculated actions show a level of premeditation that left prosecutors with little room for leniency. The legal fallout. Initially, the legal system appeared poised to deliver the harshest possible punishment for Dorman's heinous crimes. Clermont County prosecutor Mark Tacove publicly vowed to seek the death penalty, calling the murders an unspeakable tragedy. The community's outrage was palpable, with many believing that nothing short of execution would be a fitting consequence for such an atrocity. However, as the case progressed, and with the wishes of the surviving family members considered, prosecutors eventually opted for a sentence of life without parole. This decision was largely driven by the desire to avoid the additional emotional trauma that a lengthy death penalty trial would bring to the surviving family members. In 2024, Dorman was officially sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms, ensuring that he will spend the rest of his life behind bars, isolated from society, and with no chance of release. Impact on the community. Monroe Township, a small Ohio community, has been left reeling in the aftermath of this tragedy. For many, the murders of Clayton, Hunter, and Chase have brought a dark cloud over their once quiet town. Vigils have been held in memory of the three boys, with community members coming together to offer support to the surviving family members. Many remember the boys as active, happy children who loved playing sports, particularly baseball, and spending time outdoors. Their deaths have prompted local leaders to discuss ways to provide more resources for families in crisis and how to better recognize warning signs before tragedy strikes. The community, while united in grief, continues to grapple with the question of how such a senseless act could have happened in their midst. Domestic violence concerns. Ched Dorman's actions have reignited conversations about domestic violence and the often hidden nature of family abuse. Neighbors who lived near the Dorman family described him as having a volatile temper. According to witnesses, it was not uncommon to hear him yelling at his wife and children. This revelation has prompted discussions about the importance of recognizing signs of domestic violence, not just physical abuse, but also verbal and emotional abuse. The case has become a grim reminder that domestic abuse can escalate into catastrophic violence if left unchecked. Advocacy groups have called for increased awareness and support systems for victims of domestic abuse, urging people to speak up if they notice troubling behavior in their communities. Mental health and legal complexities. The Dorman case has opened a broader discussion on mental health, particularly as it relates to criminal behavior. While there's no denying the premeditated nature of the killings, some have pointed to Dorman's reported struggles with mental illness as a contributing factor. His defense team argued that his mental state should be considered during sentencing, highlighting his lack of sleep and overwhelming thoughts leading up to the murders. The court, however, determined that despite his mental health issues, the calculated and heinous nature of the crime warranted a life sentence. The intersection of mental health and criminal responsibility remains a contentious issue in cases like this, where the question of whether mental illness should mitigate punishment is often debated. The family's response. The surviving family members, particularly Dorman's ex-wife and the mother of the three boys, have been devastated by the loss. In an emotional statement read in court, Laura Dorman described how her life has been ripped apart by the murders. She recounted the simple joys she shared with her children, pushing them on swings, tucking them into bed, and the unbearable grief of knowing that she will never experience those moments again. Though she has expressed some measure of relief that Dorman will spend the rest of his life in prison, she has also made it clear that no punishment could ever bring her sons back. Her strength in the face of such unimaginable loss has been a beacon of resilience for many, but the pain of her loss will undoubtedly stay with her for the rest of her life. Thanks for watching this intense and heart-wrenching story. It's a reminder of the importance of being vigilant and offering support to those in need, especially when it comes to domestic violence and mental health. If you found this video informative, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more true crime stories and in-depth coverage of cases that matter. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.